If you kind of wonder what I'm doing, have no fear. So do I. This aspect of my painting journey is still pretty new, and it still makes me nervous. So what I've just done is I'm about to do a glaze. Okay, that's the title says, and I'm getting in the habit of anytime before I do a glaze, I do a bunch of this completely random abstract messiness with oil sticks. And yes, it's still, still, I think I've got a long way to mature in that. You can almost tell by the what's the word? Timidity almost of my, come on, let's see if I can get my monitor going. I'm so sorry, gang. There we go. All right, so let's get official. This is Daily Art Adventure number 728, Intermediate Glazes, or glazing, on a rare Sunday morning broadcast. Still on vacation in beautiful Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, with my family, having a great time, and decided I could squeeze in a quick broadcast. Maybe the only one today, I don't know. All right. Everything on the canvas except for the oil stick lines I just made. Everything on the canvas is dry. It was done yesterday, but it has just enough liquid in it to speed it up, or has just enough white titanium alkyd in it to speed up. So it's all dry. Okay, so the oil painters make note of that. An oil painting is not normally that dry, you know, the next day, but it certainly is. That's why I use those mediums. And if you were with me yesterday, I was not complaining, but I mentioned several times that especially this part, the light trans shape was a term I used yesterday, the light zone of the painting, which is either a shaft or a hourglass shape. I had to do quite a bit of scumbling. That means there's way too much opaque paint for my taste. Now, let's be clear about something. If you had to use one word to describe Dan Nelson's technique, if you had to limit yourself to one word, that one word would be transparent or transparency. Okay? So I am not by any means unique in the painting world, but I am by every means unusual. And there's a whole history, 20th century art history lesson about why almost everybody my age and painting in this age paints straight out of the tube opaque colors. There's a reason for that. And there's some, let me put it this way, there are some people that are way better painters than I am who paint in opaque colors, opaque paint, okay? Do I think I'm better than they are? No way. But do I think that they would be better than they are if they relearned the magic of transparency? The answer is yes way. Okay, that's again what I call true painting. That which was handed down from generation to generation for hundreds of years, from somewhere in the 16th century down to the 20th century. The magic of layers of transparent color. Then for very specific local reasons, that is local in the last 100 years, for a historian, that's a blink of an eye, flash in a pan. We lost the magic of transparency. That's as much as I'm going to go into that. So this is normal painting for most people, but for me, these colors are dead, flat, and chalky because they are, in fact, there's way too much opacity here, not nearly enough transparency. So I hope this will be a fairly short broadcast, and I hope very much that you can see the difference I'm about to make in this painting. I'm about to fix, to a large degree, the chalky deadness of these colors. Okay, that's what I'm calling them. Chalky, dead, flat, because they're opaque. Opacity is the enemy here. Opacity is what's the culprit. But I'm just using, like, to me, compared to transparent colors, which I have more of everywhere else in the painting, this is flat, dead, chalky. All right, but it's because they're opaque. So I'm going to do transparent on top of it. Now, here's a little drill. If you're a regular, you've heard this before. Good morning, Heather. Good to have you on board. And I'm ranting already, David says. No, there is family running around here. That's funny. Okay, here's a little drill. This is what I require to the extent that I can control you guys, which we all know is to no extent whatsoever. To the extent that I have influence upon you, here's the drill. Just before you do it, intermediate or late glaze, you put your hand on your chin. You say, I like it pretty well. And in fact, I do. I like it pretty well. I just wish it was more blank, and the blank is a color. It could be not lighter or darker. That's a value. We're talking color right now. It's going to get darker because we're glazing. Transparent. If you took a piece of any colored glass, any glass that's a color, and laid it over any part of your painting, it would make the painting, looking through that colored glass, darker. That's what a glaze is. It's like colored glass. All right, so I do like it pretty well. I wish it was more warmer orange-yellow. By the way, yellow-orange is the warmest of the warms. Yellow-orange here, which it already is those colors, but I want it a more intense color. I want this part to be redder. I'm not sure about the sky yet. I'm trying to decide whether I want to do warm on top of this blue, which, by the way, anytime you cross the color temperature equator, you have a cool color and you do warm on top, or warm color and you do cool on top, that is as good as it gets. Okay, but I'm not sure if I want to make this bluer, if I want to make it oranger. Haven't decided that yet, and I might experiment. I might do it one way and then wipe it off and do it another way. Okay, let me see what else. I think this section, oh yeah, down here I would like it to be a cooler blue. So I'm seeing ultramarine blue down here, and actually browner. This is a very cool purple and blue down here, and I think I would actually like to do an oxide red or brown, orange brown, or that. So that will be crossing what I call the equator, the color temperature equator there. All right, now just one more thing before I start glazing. You know, don't you, that I was very, very brave, so to speak, in the way I was putting all of these crazy abstract marks all over my painting, right? Very brave, but not quite as brave as it may first appear. Why? Because you regulars know, as soon as I start doing a glaze on top, those are going to disappear. In fact, if I rub it 2 or 3 times, it'll be completely gone. So if I want to retain, if I want to keep some of those marks, I just don't rub so much. If I want to obliterate them, I rub more. But they are purely abstract. That's just, it's become one more way for me to infuse, to sneak in some abstract marks and color into my paintings. All right, I'm going to start with the easy part right here. And again, for anybody new here, the medium I'm using is liquid. For a number of reasons. I love liquid. The only thing I don't love about it is the smelliness of it. I am in no danger of that here out on the porch with a little breeze here today. All right, so I'm going to stick my brush in Indian yellow. Beware of yellows, by the way. Almost all yellows are very opaque, including yellow ochre is extremely opaque. So beware, be ye aware of trying to glaze with yellow. That's why Indian yellow is certainly my favorite yellow because it's the only yellow that is truly transparent that I know of. There may be one. All right, so I've just done a warm yellow glaze. Over all of this area, all the way up into this red. And indeed, it looks better already. Now, I'll go ahead and jump to the next step right away because it's all much better. But it's a little bit too dark here. I've lost some of my highlights, so just a little bit of lifting off. And that's very close to the way I'm going to want it. I'm going to experiment, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to see what my blue sky will look like if I do warm yellow-orange. What I really mean to say, what's it going to look like if I do warm on top of that blue? And that looks pretty good. Wow. Hang on, let me step back about 10 feet across the deck here. Would it look better though if it were more blue? Think visually, not analytically. No, I think that's the right thing to do. Okay, a little bit more than Indian yellow. Again, transparent yellow. A little bit of orange. I don't even know what orange this is. Hang on a second, I'll tell you. I don't care. Don't take notes about this. Just pyro yellow, pyro orange by Richardson. Richardson, really good paint company. Let me look at the pigment orange, PO73. Now, if I want to know what PO73 is, I just Google that. Probably if you just Google PO73, you might get a couple options, but Google will probably know what you're talking about. O certainly means orange. P means pigment. O means orange. Took me a while to learn that. Nobody taught me that. I had to figure that out. I must have missed that day in school. I'm kidding. They never taught us that in school. Yeah. I'll resist the temptation to start railing against my poor college education again. Okay, I'm doing yellow orange, and again, I'm being aware of how much I'm rubbing those abstract marks. In most cases, I don't want them to disappear. Like way up here, there's a nice little smudge of yellow ochre right there, completely accidental in there, and there's green here and blue here, and it's crazy that it looks good, but it does. It doesn't make any sense, so to speak. Doesn't make any realism sense for those marks to be there. It's purely abstract. It looks cool, period. Not because it looks like anything. All right, I'm going to get the warm color off these brushes because I want. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I'm sorry. Hang on. I was going to clean them, but I'm premature. Now I'm dipping into some oxide red, which is a brown, of course. I decided I think I want to push this car brownward. Push this car in a brownward direction. Yeah, that's better. That's better. That's actually a little bit of camouflage color. One of the terms I use. You can see that this, in fact, all these cars are very prominent in this painting, right? Especially this one in the lower left corner. And I feel like they have to be there or it doesn't feel like the street scene that it is, right? So they have to be there, but they're right on the borderline, in my opinion, of distracting. But they have to be there. Okay, so what do you do? What do I do anyway? I do then camouflage color. which means I leave the cars there. I draw them pretty accurately. But I make the colors of this car in particular right now, make it the color of everything around it. So it visually recedes, doesn't come toward us, it stays way back, even though it's right up close. Right, and this part of the painting over here, I think I want to do some cool blue. So ultramarine. Once again, I don't want to get into a big speech, but there is some confusion out there about which blues are warm and which blues are cool. Some of you don't even know that blues can be warm or cool. You just think blue is cool. That's the end of the story. Well, way to go. You got through 10th grade art, all right. I'm sorry, that's insulting. But let me just repeat. If yellow, put a color wheel in front of you. Yellow-orange, in my opinion, is the warmest of all the warms. Yellow-orange is the true north. In fact, if you take your color wheel and put yellow-orange at the top, like north, everything going away from that is cooler. If that's the warmest, everything going away is cooler. So then that helps you gauge, and then if that's correct, which I believe it is, then blue with a little bit of purple in it, that is ultramarine blue, becomes obviously your coolest blue. See, some people get confused. They think, well, if you have blue and you add a little bit of red to it, and red's warm, isn't a reddish blue then warmer? That's how the confusion happens. Okay. So some people erroneously think that ultramarine is a warm blue, but it's not. It's actually the coolest of blues. Phthalo blue, cerulean blue is a warm blue. All right, enough of that. I don't want to carry that any further. Now that I've got this blue on my brush, though, I'll hit the shady side of this car and this car with a little bit of cool shadow. I'm looking and thinking, just looking and thinking, thinking with my eyes, not thinking analytically. Just looking, saying, yeah, I think some cool over here would look good. I'm going to vignette this corner, push this corner dark a little bit. So I've got, again, ultramarine on my brushes. I did warm here, but no, I've done cool there. So you see this graduation. You can put this rule down and engrave it on a brass plaque, because this rule is rarely broken. That being flat planes are an unhappy mistake, put it that way. You want virtually, unless you're doing some kind of weird contemporary on purpose thing, which that's a whole different world, never mind, sorry I said that. Flat planes are an unhappy mistake. You almost always want every plane in your painting to graduate, to go from light to dark, or dark to light, or warm to cool, or cool to warm. Okay. Now, in this painting, even with the sky is a plane, and it goes from warm cool to, from warm light to dark cool. Likewise, here's a building, a plane right there. It goes from light to dark. This one right here goes from light to dark at both ends. That's unusual. Every window, light, dark, and so on and so on. Every plane. If you've been with me long, you've maybe heard me do this silly thing. Again, just to help you remember. Put your left hand over your heart, raise your right hand, and say, I do solemnly swear that I will never again paint a flat building without a shadow going across it. Now, that's being a little bit too specific, so there will be times when that is not true, but the times that that is not true is the extreme minority. 90% of the time, I think that's fair. 90% of the time, if you're doing a painting of a thing, anything, and the thing has a flat surface like a building, then that's, I do solemnly swear, I will never paint a flat thing again as long as I live. I'm being facetious to make using it as a mnemonic device, help you remember. Don't. Paint flat buildings flat. All right. If you remember that one little rule, you just became a better artist right there. All right. I said this broadcast was going to be about intermediate glazes, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let it stay short. I see you guys are leaving lots of chats. I will show you, having done a glaze now, I open myself up to the delightful opportunity of drawing again, because everything's wet and everything's just got darker. So I have the opportunity to do any kind of drawing. So, drawing in my world means smaller brushes, liney marks, line-ish marks, okay? And it's anything I want. There's no rule. Anything that I think needs to be re-accentuated, redrawn, any corrections that need to be made. Now, I will point out that at the moment I'm using a dirty dark red to draw with, and that's because on the last painting I did, the last painting I finished, painting the Capitol building, when I was all done, I went, oh man, I should have done more of my underdrawing in more intense colors. That's a lesson I should have learned before now, but evidently I haven't, because I didn't do it. So this is new learning right now. Again, I already knew that, but I've just been reminded of it. Like, oh man, I missed an opportunity to put some color in my painting. Again, I'm using a dark red right now. So I want some of these abstract branches to be red, not all, and red and blue and purple and green, any colors at all. It just happens at the moment I'm using red. Get it? So I discovered, I was reminded, I should have known this already. It's like, wait a minute. Don't miss the opportunity in the underpainting stage. By the way, let's be clear about our terminology, shall we? If you were watching yesterday, I said everything I do in painting I call underpainting, except for the final edit layer. And for many years, for me, the final edit layer was in fact the end of the painting. I was done at that point. As you can see now, I've matured. My technique has, I believe, matured, gotten better. I do better paintings now than I used to. And one of the differences is I now almost always do a final glaze on top of the final edit. So that's what I have just done, with the exception of I still have more final edit to do. So anyway, everything I'm doing now is underpainting on top of what was overpainting. The underpainting, the final edit layer is the only layer I call overpainting, right? But it's not overpainting anymore. Now it's part of the underpainting. Am I being clear? So what was yesterday a part of the underpainting is now suddenly today made part of the underpainting again. By the way, I'm missing a line up here. There we go. So there, I actually needed to do a drawing correction. I was missing a side of that building. Well, I'm having so much fun. That's a dangerous statement, by the way. Here's one of the rules of painting. If something is a lot of fun, be careful not to do too much of it. So just be careful. That was a lot of fun. Ooh, let's do more. That ooh, let's do more impulse. That's what gets us into trouble as artists. Ooh, that was fun. Let's do more. But anyway, I've just added some purple violet to my mix here. I'm still doing more. Some of what I'm doing here is definitive drawing, and some of what I'm doing is just abstract marks. Now, if you get the impression that my painting was closer to being done, so to speak, before I did all this, you're absolutely correct, because now I've painted myself into a corner, shall we say, and I've got a whole new layer of final edit to do. Yesterday I did final edit in about this corner of the painting. Now I need to do all of that again. So I've just made my job bigger. But that's okay, because I just made the painting better. Get it? That's a fair trade-off. Oh no, more time. Oh wait, better painting. Oh yeah, okay. Once again, let me repeat though, if all the painting, if all the work that you do in a painting, if all your energy goes in the direction of realism or similitude or accuracy or whatever, if all your energy goes in one direction, then time is your enemy. But if a significant part of what you're doing actually is against similitude and is abstract, which a lot of what I'm doing right now is in fact abstract, then time is not your enemy. All right, I like it. The painting just got better. Quick episode. Well, let me see if there's any chats here I absolutely need to respond to. I like you guys talking to each other. Ooh, David says I would add some white decorative tree lights. That is a really good idea. I'm going to have to think about that one, David, because see, I've already taken some liberty with this painting. The umbrellas are actually not here. Again, for those of you who perhaps just joined me, here's the photograph. I started this painting, of course, on plein air, on location. And I added the umbrellas because there is actually a cafe here. My son mentioned to me yesterday, they probably can't put umbrellas there because of city regulations, and I bet that is correct. The sidewalk's not technically wide enough, so it's against the rules to put umbrellas here, and that's probably correct. So I've already, violated the realism somewhat. Should I violate it more, as David suggests, by putting decorative lights in the trees? Wow. They only, I think it's a good idea. Do I want to take another step back away from realism? I'm inclined to think you're right, David. I think I should, especially probably this tree right up here. Now there are supposed to be lights around this window, and I've lost those, so I do need to add those back. All right, thanks, David. Good idea. I am ranting. David is bashing in a good way. An umbrella in the center, a reflection or umbrella on the street? No, it's an umbrella on the street for sure. And I just made it darker, by the way, and so I don't know when you said that. I did make it darker just a few minutes ago. Kind of a... Yeah, I guess. This one is catching more ambient light on the top of it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep that like that or not. It doesn't hurt for me to put that, again, since I'm back in underpainting stage, I can lighten that up and overpaint if I want to. But I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. Yeah, they might have lights around Christmas, Heather. You're right. They might. I think this painting does. I think it has the feel of my other paintings. Be that as it may, that's all right. It certainly doesn't have the final pop that it's going to have. It has a glow. How about that terminology? It has a glow, doesn't have a pop. It doesn't have the highlights yet that it will have. So we'll see. All right, thanks guys, appreciate it very much. Thanks for your company and thanks for your input. I'll paint a little bit more. And if I start doing something really exciting, I'll start broadcasting. I'll bring you back in, okay? If not, have a good Sunday. Thank you, Heather. We are having a very good time. Tomorrow it's pack up and zoom home, so I won't have much time tomorrow. Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.